What's that? Is that the news trumpet I hear? What's the news, Kev? The news is this. I am writing and going to be performing an hour-long show for kids. A comedy show for kids in February. And that's exciting because no more performing in front of a load of drunk people. No more performing in front of a load of posh shows from Somerset. No, I'm going to start changing kids' lives. I'm going to put some ideas in their head, make them think in a different way, you know, make them start thinking about certain things like unity and friendship and sharing and joy and happiness and love. And what better place to get inspiration for that than from the Bible? Dad, this hurts like fuck. They keep putting nails in my hands, calling me a smelly hippie. And they say my wife's a whore. What do you mean she is? Fuck you, Dad, you're not my real dad anyway. I wish I was never born. Love!
And behold, we turned this gold into a painting, holding some holy water, pouring over sinners and waiting in water, waiting for Father, forgive me. I've been scheming, dreaming of carving my initials on enemies and...
Spider. Mad. Anyway, it's weird living around loads of posh people, you know, being quite poor myself. You know, sometimes there's a clash. Do you know what I mean? I keep my head down, but sometimes I get started on, you know, a bit of attitude, a bit of aggression. And I'm like, do you know what I mean? I ain't that sort of guy. But I do think, like, you know, I go to them like, what are you going to do? You know, I've lived through some shit. You know, I'm quite resilient. You ain't going to be able to do anything to me. You can't fucking touch me. What the fuck are you going to do, you rich little bastards? You know? Anyway, now my rent's gone up and they've fired the local NHS GP. Fuck.
I play Pokemon Go every day. I play Pokemon Go. I play Pokemon Go every day. I play Pokemon Go.
When you get fat, your willy looks like it's getting smaller. But it's not. What's actually happening is your willy's like tethered to your body, and then fat kind of goes around the bottom of it. The best way I can describe it is when I was younger, there was the people with their opposites, Julie and Bobby, they loved them, they're really lovely couple. But when Bob died, they stopped doing the mowing at the front. We offered to do it, but she wasn't interested, she was a professional. But they had a gnome in the front garden, so bit by bit, as the grass grew, the gnome would just disappear. Until all was left was a red helmet in one eye. It's still on down there.
Now, I know that was a Willy joke, yeah? And then some people, oh, yeah, it's the lowest of the low. Willy joke's very crude, yeah? Yeah, it's not clever. No, it's not clever, but it is funny, yeah? Because Willies are funny. People are always laughing at mine, right? I mean, think about Willies throughout history. That's funny. People whose Willies you never think of before. Hitler had a Willy. Do you know what I mean? He was obviously a massive arsehole, yeah? But he was a very powerful man. He got to the top of European politics. He's standing there with them rallies, everyone worshipping him as some sort of demigod, you know, all raising their hands and in perfect uniform, pillars of light going up into the sky. He's doing all them talks, snuggly crackly, iron's fine tonight, you know, all this sort of stuff, yeah? Ferocious. And throughout all of that, he's got a little Willy in his pants, squeezed up against his leg, all mushed up, you know, like a loose sausage in the bottom of a Sainsbury's carrier bag, yeah? Don't seem so powerful now, does he? Willies. Willies. Willies.
So in the book, I've got this story of two strikes that happened in the 60s. The first strike was of garbage collectors. New York, 1968, lasted for 6 days. State of emergency had to be declared. Turns out, we can't do without garbage collectors.
Right.
So at that point, I wondered, has it ever happened, in history, that the bankers went on strike? So I started looking, looked at the past 5,000 years, basically, since the invention of money. And I found only one example. And this was in Ireland, 1970. The bankers were angry that their wages were not keeping up with inflation. So they said, you know what, you'll have it. We're going to go on strike, and then you'll see just how important we are. And all the experts were like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. It's going to be a heart attack for the economy. And then from one day to the other day, 85% of the money supply was not accessible anymore. And then nothing much happened, actually. So the strike lasted for 6 months in the end. And after 6 months, the bankers came back and said, all right, we'll get back to work. And I think this is another example where history just makes you rethink, right? Who are the real wealth creators in this country? Does wealth really, is it really created at the top and then does it trickle down? Or maybe it's the other way around. And are the teachers and the garbage collectors and the nurses, are they the real wealth creators?
And the moon landings as well. They had willies all the way there and all the way back, floating around in space like that, Well, they definitely jerked off. It's a nightmare jerking off on them spaceships, I bet. Because if you finish, it's be floating all over the place. Horrible, You'd have to make sure you got all of it, but there'd always be a bit going around, wouldn't there? Ugh. I'm going to go next door and get the screwdriver from that room. I wouldn't go in there, mate. If you do, I'd put the bloody helmet on. Just in case. Take these wet wipes. Horrible. I bet they jacks off all the time. There's nothing else to do. I bet that's why they called him Armstrong. God knows why they called him Buzz. Dirty bastard.
Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore tree. Dream a little dream of me.
I've always had this notion, this thing I could not say, that my lovely dear old Nana was in the CIA. She says the marks on her hand were from absent-minded slicing while cooking Grandad's Sunday roast and not close combat fighting. She loves all of the family, has our photos on display, but the picture next to Grandad's is the death of JFK. She's a nan of mystery, her story's never told, her hands are in the mixing bowl, her mind at grassy knoll. I've always had this notion, this thing I could not say. I think my lovely Nana was in the CIA. Her neighbour over the road had a little goatee beard and a tabby cat named Vladimir, but then they disappeared. She made me mum a birthday cake, adorned the top with flowers. We thought it looked a funny shape, she'd made it as 2 towers. As my mother blew the candles, my grandma made the sound. She made the noise of airplanes as the icing hit the ground. I've always had this notion, this thing I could not say. My lovely dear old Nana was in the CIA.
Hey, I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we can hang out or something.
Willies.